Hey there, hi there, ho there, my name is Thomas and welcome to the Second Star channel, the only channel on YouTube that combines the wonders of Disney with the artistic styles of jazz music. Disney films have become a staple of childhood, but why do so many Disney movies have the death of a loved one? Without further ado, here we go. While many of Disney's classic films come from the Brother Grimm's fairy tales, Walt Disney has taken artistic liberty with their adaptation, but why did he keep the deaths in? Snow White and Cinderella have both parents removed from the story and replaced with evil stepmothers, as per the Brothers Grimm fairy tale. However, it's Walt Disney's own creations as well that have parents who face an untimely death. In Bambi, we are subjected to one of the most heartbreaking death scenes of the golden era of Disney films. It can be argued that Walt Disney and his 9 old men were using death as part of their sugar and tar effect, having a sweet scene followed by a dark scene. However, it did not just stay in the golden era. For more information on the golden era, please watch my 7 eras of Disney filmmaking video. I'll put the link in the description below. Most of the parents who pass away are mother figures. The child protagonist either loses them before the movie even begins, or they just aren't mentioned at all, or the mother characters aren't given that much screen time. The Little Mermaid, Beauty and the Beast, and Aladdin. Where are the mothers? What happened? And why is this a recurring theme in Disney movies that are even past Walt Disney? In an interview with Glamour, longtime Disney producer Don Hahn gave his 2 theories on why there are rarely any parents, or more specifically mother characters, in Disney films. According to him, one reason comes from a practical standpoint. One reason is practical because the movies are 80 or 90 minutes long, and Disney films are about growing up. They're about that day in your life when you have to accept responsibility. In shorthand, it's much quicker to have characters grow up when you bump off their parents. Bambi's mother gets killed, so he has to grow up. Belle only has a father, but he gets lost, so she has to step into that position. It's a story shorthand. This of course ties back to the argument of a lot of fairy tales that the films are based on included the death of these parents, so Walt Disney is just staying true to the original material. However, it didn't just stay with Walt Disney. Even Don Hahn, the producer of 1994's The Lion King, had Mufasa killed. This is of course because The Lion King is based off of William Shakespeare's play Hamlet, where King Hamlet is killed by his brother Claudius. In 1999's Tarzan, based off of the novel series titled The Legend of Tarzan, Kala finds infant Tarzan orphaned by the leopard Sabor. But the other reason that might explain the lack of motherly characters is heartbreaking, and it comes from a little-known story about the man behind the magic, Walt Disney himself. The other reason, and this is really odd, Walt Disney in the early 1940s, when he was still living at his house, also bought a house for his mom and dad to move into. He had the studio guys come over and fix the furnace, but when his mom and dad moved in, the furnace leaked and his mother died. The housekeeper came in the next morning and pulled his mother and father out on the front lawn. His father was sick and went to the hospital, but his mother died. He never would talk about it. Nobody ever does. He never spoke about that time because he personally felt responsible, because he had become so successful that he said, "Let me buy you a house." It's every kid's dream to buy their parents a house. And just through a strange freak of nature, through no fault of his own, the studio workers didn't know what they were doing. Further on into the interview, Don Hahn elaborated, saying that he truly believes Walt was haunted by the death of his mother from that point on, and that is why Walt tended to steer away from including mom characters in his future films. To quote, "That idea that he really contributed to his mom's death was really tragic. If you dig, you can read about it. It's not a secret within their family, but it's just a tragedy that is so difficult to even talk about. It helps to understand the man a little bit more. He had just made Fantasia, Dumbo, Pinocchio, Bambi, and Snow White in a 5-year span. He buys a house for his mom and dad. They move down from Oregon, and his mom dies." Again, I'm not a psychologist to know it all, but it's a really interesting story. To me, it humanizes Walt. He was devastated by that, as anyone could see. While this may explain why Disney films do not have mother figures when Walt Disney was in charge of the movies, what about after Walt's death? Why has it continued? Better yet, does this explain the deaths in Pixar films? In Toy Story, we are never told what happened to Andy's dad. In fact, there's no mention of him in any of the 3 films. In Finding Nemo, Coral is killed by a barracuda as she tries to defend her children. Marlin is left alone with Nemo, which leads to him being overly protective of his son. In Up, Ellie passes away in one of the most tear-jerking scenes in all of Pixar film history. Are these deaths somehow in honor of Walt Disney? Probably not. The deaths in Pixar films aren't used to shorten the story. They are the story. Carl Fredricksen is torn about never taking his wife to Paradise Falls, so he takes his house, who he calls Ellie, to South America to keep his promise. Marlin lost everything he loved when Coral was killed, so he won't stop at anything to protect his son, which pushes Nemo even further away. Unlike Walt Disney, who shied away from death, Pixar exemplifies the ripple effects that losing a loved one has. But death is not the end. When we lose someone, they might be gone physically, but they are still an important part of our lives. They are a part of our memories, the memories that make us who we are. It may be hard to face reality, but those who have passed should be celebrated with those who are still living. As best described by the Lion King, they live in us because they are a part of us. And there you have it, lost folks. Hopefully you enjoyed my theory on why Disney films have the death of a loved one. My community question for this video is, which Disney movie would have been completely different if the loved one did not die? Let me know in the comments section below. The best comment will be featured in the next video. Like this video if you learned something new. Second Star is on a Sunday-Wednesday schedule, so subscribe and hit that notification bell. And as always, my name is Thomas. Make sure to keep those happy little thoughts, and I will see you in the next video.